So my name is Joe Britton. I've been around this, as Craig said, the talent acquisition management, recruiting type space now for a long time. I've worked on multiple systems. I've been on a good number of PeopleSoft implementations, Taleo, a lot of interfacing. So we kind of knew what we were in for, and when the vendors came in to give us the presentations, we were able to ask the tough questions. So it was a little bit more than a sales cycle. You know, they actually had to answer questions that were pretty tough. So it was an interesting meeting. But as Craig indicated, Oracle owns both products, the PeopleSoft product and the Taleo product. So their stated direction is Taleo is going to be their SaaS offering, and that's just software as a service, right? So you get a URL, you log in, you don't have the boxes anywhere on site. It's just a URL, you log in. That's the SaaS model. PeopleSoft is their stated direction for an on-site model. And they've got a roadmap. We got roadmaps from all of the vendors into the future, as far as you can go, probably 7, 8 years with software. You know how the world is with software, right? Anybody remember MySpace? So, you know, things happen in the software business. What we're going to do today, though, is we're going to walk through. I'm going to show you just a couple things. I want to show you the applicant piece. I'm going to show you a little bit about the recruiter piece. We're going to talk a little bit about onboarding and how that's going to play out. Everything that we're doing right now is really soft and squishy, right? We just kind of got started on this. We've made the decisions, and we're just starting. So if I say something or a screen looks strange, or use your note card and please jot that down for me, and we can address it. But don't hold too much credence on the actual specific things in here that may or may not, jive with what we think we'll be doing going forward. It is a demo database, but I did put in some Gwinnett College information in there, so we've got some stuff that looks pretty similar. And actually, on the job postings, it looks just like the job postings you would see right now at Gwinnett. Okay, so hopefully that'll help with the uptake of looking at a new system. I have a lot of stuff to cover. Craig ate up all my time, so so we have a lot to cover. I'm going to talk fast. At the end, I would like to try to leave some time for questions. We did figure out that at 2:50 it's a break, and so what we're going to do at 2:50 is we're going to open up the doors. Anybody needs to leave can leave. Anybody wants to stay and have a discussion or questions, you're welcome to. I'm happy to take, whatever you got at the end. Again, hopefully we'll have time before 2:50, but we can stay in here after the end date if we need to. All right, so let me get out of here. The one thing that PeopleSoft gets knocked on a lot is how it looks to the applicants, okay? I can tell you that PeopleSoft, so this Verizon site, this is their careers home, right? So Verizon's got all your cell phone money, so they got a lot of money. And they built a fabulous career site, and that's what we're going to look at for all the schools have a career site. That's basically, I go to the WW site, and I hit employment, careers, jobs, whatever that link says. That next page that comes up, we would call that the career site. They tell you about working here, military, follow us. Let's see, where am I going to go? Oh, right here. So right here embedded in the middle, this is actually where we get into some of the PeopleSoft content. Whenever I open up a job opportunity, we're going to look at this in our environment here shortly. But what we're going to talk about right here is this is called a banner or a frame. Every institution will have a banner or a frame. It'll have your logo. It'll have colors kind of coded to your school, so that when people are jumping from the careers page with all the green colors, blue colors, red colors, whatever they are, into this site, it's not a huge change for them. So it kind of looks like it's seamless. The other thing we'll do with our site is it's going to open in a new window. So I'm on the career site. I'm going to hit apply for a job, and it's going to open in a new window so I can still see both sides of it. That's just a way for them to get back, and there may be information over here they want to look at, and they're going to do this. So we're really thinking about the user experience when we go through this. And the banners, the headers can actually change. So like whenever I hit apply, it's going to take me to a different header. Now we just have the Verizon with the red bar. Trying to clean it up a little bit. People on devices, this product will take applications off of iPads, iPhones, Microsoft phones, Android. If anybody still has an Amazon phone, they stopped making those. It works on an Amazon phone. Again, software we're going to do. So all that being said, we're going to try to simplify and try to pull out as much as we can out of the experience. Whenever we look at this, Craig used the analogy we're all in the same database. I would use the analogy we're all moving into the same house, okay? And this is just like if you have teenagers, right? They want to paint their room crazy colors, You can do that. So each institution is going to have their room in the house, and their room's colored differently, their carpet's different, the furniture in the room's different. Everything about the room's different, but you're still in the same house. We're not going to let you knock down a wall and add an indoor swimming pool, right? So that's the limit. But if you use that analogy, it'll just kind of help you think about, this is my room in the house. Now, there are things that we'll have to share, right? So we have to share the kitchen, den. As we go through and we sit, we're going to have groups from specific institutions. We'll get a whiteboard and we'll start talking about, the things we can change and the things that are global. And most of the stuff's going to be templated. I would say 70-80% of the stuff that you guys are going to care about is going to be templated. Some of them are going to be global decisions. They're global because the applicants need a consistent experience, and you don't want to, like I said, you don't have a swimming pool in this room and then no swimming pool in the other rooms, okay? So we're going to jump in. This is the Georgia Gwinnett College current career site. And what we typically do almost every time over here on the right or at the bottom, we typically use 2 links. One would be, I'm an internal candidate and I want to apply, and I'm an external candidate and I want to apply, right? So you could have an employee link or you would have an external. The reason we do that, we really have different doors. We require different information from external applicants than we do for folks who already work here, okay? So with those 2 links, when you click those, we talked about it opening up in a new window, and it's going to open up in a window that looks similar to this. Now, like Craig said, this site's not been branded yet, so this is just your typical oneusg header, this frame here. This would be replaced with, again, kind of like that Verizon piece, your logo, colors, all the way across. What we try to do is make the experience the best we can for the applicants. That makes everything else better. The second group of people that we try to make the experience really good for is the managers, right? The third group are the recruiters. We're paying them to do, so we do what we can, but they're third on the list as far as customizations. Sorry, it's just the way it is. But honestly, a recruiter's job is a lot easier if people are getting through the application process, they're not calling you, they're not abandoning the process. Everything's easier if it's good for the applicants. Now, what we're looking at here is just a standard job search screen. And you can see, we used the Amazon experience earlier in one of our other demos. This really is like Amazon. So you can roll down through here on this left side and sort by location. So like I've got a Georgia Gwinnett location. So if I only want to see those jobs, I can see those. And then like they go into departments. And so all it's doing is putting the job and kind of squeezing through. The problem is we're all going to be in the same house, right? And we're going to have 30 rooms. So whenever an applicant logs in, they're just going to see the jobs associated with your school, right? Although I think we will have one site that's going to be an aggregate site, and it would have all the jobs on it. So you can imagine how many jobs we're going to have system-wide. And so one of the search features would be the school, the institutions.
Is that replaced after the clearinghouse that we have?
Right, exactly, yeah. So yeah, great big pool. Everybody's together in it. So if somebody comes into your room and they apply for a job in your room, in your house, and in your room, specifically to your institution, then the only people who can see that is your institution, right? Unless you go to that clearinghouse. So applicants really aren't shared necessarily across. It's really specific. So now whenever you click on the search results, we're going to get into a job description. This is a pretty good looking job description, honestly. I pulled this off Georgia Gwinnett's site. They got their act together, so it looked good. Job details here at the top. We typically come through here. Sometimes we'll make changes to this, sometimes we won't. Like I said, we'll get a team together. We'll talk about what we want it to look like finally for all the schools. But you can see we've got a department marketing statement, qualifications and responsibilities, and then duties and responsibilities. So it takes formatting. It's got bullet points and that kind of stuff, okay? Down here at the bottom, we've got a disclosure statement, and then we have an apply and an email to a friend. The email to a friend is just a way to share jobs via email to folks. Oh, that's a great job for Tommy. I need to send that to him. That's all that's doing. And then we have an apply button down here at the bottom. The only thing I'd like to say about the posting process, if we post on things like Monster, Career Finder, any of the other sites that we would use, we get people right back to the description, right? We get them right back to the job. So we really don't want to collect, we don't want to try not to collect resumes at those vendor sites, although there are some exceptions to that. We would want the folks to come in and actually hit our site and get the data in our database without having to do any kind of interfacing or pulling data back and forth. So this is what they would see. They'd click on a link on, name the site, and it's going to pull up this page, and they'd be able to apply directly. A lot of times it'll take you to just a search page, and you have to start all over again, and it's a real pain. But we're trying to make it as easy as we can for the applicants.
Is the applicant's username and login the same across all institutions?
That's a great question. So that's exactly what we're getting ready to do. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, see my sign out up there? So I'm signed in. That's my big PeopleSoft. They're going to use a guest user account. So when they come in, everybody comes in as a guest just to see our jobs, okay? Whenever they get ready to apply, they're going to do what I'm getting ready to do here, and they'll become a registered user, just like you would on Amazon or any other site. Username, password, and then that's how I'm logging in. They don't have a security profile in the PeopleSoft, big security jobs. Their stuff is over. They have a security profile over just in the recruiting module. So I've already signed in as somebody, so let's see. I'm really creative with my names too. Another thing to talk about with the user IDs and passwords, we can set those to be 6 characters long, special numbers, characters. The problem is people forget them a lot. I like it with just wide open. So if you want to be 1 for a password, you can do that, 2, and we'll talk through that again when we get to a group. So you can see this is really the start. We've got the ability to put an agreements, an application terms and agreements. This is where you would say things like, your resume will be on file for this many days. We're going to contact you. All kind of the preconditions to applying. And you can see we've got I have a read and agree checkbox here. Now, another thing about the application, so again, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff. This is your room, okay? So this is your specific room. Some organizations might want to have a really long application process where you can use the wheel on the mouse and not have all these stops at the top. Others may have 3 stops. We probably wouldn't go over 7. I mean, this is probably as long as we would make the process as far as going, at the top there, start, resume, preferences, qualifications, referrals, self-identity, and review and submit. We can make it a much longer application. I tend to like the longer applications, but I just wanted to show you guys the functionality on this one. All right. Now, since I applied as So since I'm applying, I've got a resume attachment. Now, we can talk quickly about resume attachments. It basically accepts any file format that we want to upload. I think we're going to load resumes on the file server, is the decision. So on the file server, if I upload Quark Express file, which is a design program, if I upload, we still see WordPerfect actually, which is, the 90s called, right? They went there. Anyway, so we still get those kinds of, and we take everything, right? The issue that we have is rendering it on your desktop. So what's going to happen is each one of these browsers, like if you're using Internet Explorer, they've got little applets that you can run that'll open up these files for you in a view-only format. We'll have all that in the help desk for the practitioners, but that's just to say we can take anything and probably look at about anything that people upload. We're not going to have any size requirements. No. Well, I mean, the problem is now a Word file can be 6 megabytes, right? Just a Word file with hi on it. So. Oh, I'm sorry, one more time?
You could try and convert them to like a PDF?
Oh, right. No, right now we do not try to convert them. So the question was, do we try to convert files as they come into a PDF? And we don't try to convert them. Now, there are some compression routines they'll run on the servers to squish them down so they're taking up less size, probably. But whenever you request it so I'm giving it to you as an applicant, whenever you request it back to look at it as a recruiter, it's going to reconstitute itself in the way that they uploaded it. Which is nice because you can see misspellings and that they're using crazy fonts and, but I was a recruiter a long time ago and the first thing I did was go through and take out all the neon sheets of paper and, I don't want to see a bright green resume kind of thing. So you can still kind of do that electronically because you're seeing the way that they actually uploaded it. So I'm going to go here. I got a couple resumes here. And again, this is just the applicant side. We also take a copy and paste resume. That's where you're literally copying and pasting it from a text file, or you can key stuff in there. It's not typically used. We can require that everybody attach a resume, that nobody attaches a resume. Again, this is your room, right? So your school could say everybody's got to have a resume every time, or it's optional. those are all decisions you guys can make. Okay, so now we're getting into like preferences. This preference page, in my opinion, isn't very useful. I like to use screening questions for this instead. So this is, I can work these days of the week. I want to make this much money. I can travel this percentage of time. So a lot of times this will disappear, but I did want to show it just so folks could take a look. Sometimes the minimum pay is one that folks want to take a look at. You don't want to mess with somebody if you're a recruiter who's got $20,000 expectation higher than what you could pay. So sometimes that's a good screening. Moving on to qualifications, we're going to take your work experience, your job training, and then you can see up here at the top, this one's split out into 3 subsections: experience, education, accomplishments. Again, your room. It could be one stop here. It could be 5 pages. I mean, however you guys want to make it look, we'll sit down and go through it. And we can proof of concept it pretty quick. I mean, it's a long meeting, but we can sit in one meeting in a day and get through this kind of look and feel stuff. So, order a pizza kind of day. The other thing that I'll say about this, we are taking whatever HR has decided to use as for work experience fields, education fields. Accomplishments would be things like license and certifications and languages, foreign languages that I may speak, but that I don't speak. The reason we do that is because whenever we hire that applicant, that data, because we're all in the same database, right? It's integrated. Whenever you hire that applicant, all that data will flow across into the HR, so you don't have to rekey that. And we can decide based on, again, institution specific, we want to take license, education, and languages, but we're going to leave some other stuff behind. So the question came up is, what about we need to verify education, we want to verify language, or we want to verify word processing speed. We have the ability on the HR side to have a verified checkbox that an HR practitioner would have access to and nobody else would be able to use, and you can verify, you can make notes, you check this, check that. It just brings those records into an electronic format. The reason that's valuable, not only because you're going to have internal applicants and you have external applicants, but we also have, at later dates, we'll have things like, we got career planning, succession planning, and it's good to have as much information on folks as you can in one spot. So like here's the degrees, for instance. So like the list of degrees that we have, or the list, and this is a demo database, but in our real life, the degrees we're going to have are going to be the same ones you would select in HR, okay? So that way we won't have a mismatch. And we control these fields. All these are templated. So this is where we get in, a little out of the room. We can actually, if somebody feels really strongly about the fields on this degrees page, it would be better if we agreed. But it is a template, and we can just start creating templates if we needed to. We could have 30 degree templates. Again, the issue is because we are in the same database, things like reporting and that kind of thing gets a little messy. So it's not that we can't do it, it's that we shouldn't do it, right? Thinking down the road from a reporting standpoint. And so this is, another question that we get a lot is, what if my degree is not on here? Well, we'll use school code. I don't see, we have a major description, but like we did a lot of schools. Obviously, schools change names. And so when I graduated, it was GRU, and now it's Augusta University. I may not find it in the school code list. So here on the school description, you can actually just key it. Okay, the applicant can just key it. We want to try to get the information if we can. So here's our accomplishments again. Your room, your choices. Right now I've just got memberships, license and search, languages, and honors and awards. Okay? And honors and awards I would keep just for the entertainment factor. Seriously. You can see some funny stuff that way. We also, references, some folks, we talked a lot about references. Love references, hate references, want to capture references, all up to you. The referral piece, we've got a couple things that work here for us pretty well. If I go to newspaper, for instance, I don't know how many people found a job in a newspaper recently, but you can see for each of these referral sources, newspaper, website, we can list the values. So the reason we do that primarily is if you're spending dollars to recruit people, it would be really valuable to know where you're getting your applicants from, right? So this is a list that we would put together for you, and you'd be able to figure out where your dollars are being spent well. The other one that we get, and probably some of the better folks that you hire, I would imagine, are employee referrals. You can put the name of the employee in, and you'll see right just below that we have the email address. what's neat about this is it actually, so if somebody applies and they say, hey, Joe's referring me, I know Joe, we go to church together or whatever. Whenever they hit submit, I'm going to get an email that says, hey, this guy named Bob just applied and said he knew you. That gives me a chance to go, well, I don't know that guy, or he's crazy, right? I mean, so it lets you know that somebody's using your name. or I could go, I'll call and say, hey, Bob's a solid person. I think, we can make him an offer. So, and the other thing, with all that being said, if we have referral program functionality in PeopleSoft, so like if we said we were going to pay somebody $500 for every person that uses them as a referral, we actually have all that, and it talks to payroll, and it's got rules like I have to be here a year, they have to be here 6 months, and it clicks off and pays me $500. I don't think we're going to get to that level of functionality, but it is nice that we're going to use a piece of it just for the notification and be able to kind of check folks out on the back end, if you will, to see if they're recommended or not. Okay, so I'm just going to change this to advertisement for now. Okay, so let's talk about this one. These were big changes that blew all the government and all their wisdom with the changes that they made to disability and military status in the last year. All the products have struggled. Now, this is an example, like Craig was talking about. If you log into Taleo and look at this, it's very similar. I think it's almost the same exact text. Okay. But this allows you to see, this is actually the government wording off of their site. You can see down here we've got, yes, I have a disability, no, I don't. And then when I hit next again, I'm getting to the definition. This is all the veteran, right here's the VIVRA. So you have self-identification here again, so I'm not a veteran. Now this information, along with the next page, which is going to be your race and ethnicity, managers aren't going to see this. Recruiters obviously can see it, right? It's available unless we turn it off via security. Sometimes for affirmative action programs and things like that, you may want to have this information. We don't let managers see this, right? That's a hard and fast rule. We have a 2-question setup now. So they finally separated ethnicity and race. It used to be in PeopleSoft, they had them combined, which made no sense. So now you're either Hispanic or Latino, and then you can select your race. And of course, people can decline to provide their diversity details if they'd like. That's their right. Now, if you're in the previous session on employee self-service, we allow folks after they've been hired to go back in and they can update their ethnicity. I might not feel comfortable disclosing it as an applicant. Once I'm here and I'm sitting in a seat and everybody likes me, I might want to go back in there and, check that I'm an Eskimo or something. I don't know. So it is good because what we, from an EEO perspective, we need the information, but we need the person to identify, right? And so it's great that we give them a chance to go back in there and identify. Okay. And then gender is still just male and female, which I don't know how that's going to go, frankly. The only thing that changes more in software is government regulations. So I don't know what the other statuses will be, but there may be other statuses. And just, I'm joking about that a little bit, but that is one nice thing. Whenever Craig talked about the license fees and the maintenances, we're getting all that stuff from the vendor. So like all those pages we just looked at on the military and the disability came from the vendor. I didn't have to go build it. You didn't have to pay somebody. You just kind of have to, honestly, they're usually a couple weeks late. But as on time as anybody else would be. So if they did decide to change the gender, we would get that in an update. Okay, so I'm going to go next again. This is just a review step. Submit the application and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to go through just a couple more quick things. Try to keep an eye on the time. So here are my activities. Now you can see I'm an applicant. I logged in earlier today, and you can see I've got a not submitted row at the top for an administrative assistant job. So when somebody calls you and says, I haven't gotten any calls or haven't gotten we're going to send out emails. There's a ton of emails that come out of this thing. So an applicant would get an email that said, hey, thanks for applying. If they didn't get that, 99.9% of the time, they've not submitted it, okay? The reason is we think of save as submit, and save and submit are different things on these applications, okay? And you can even ask them something like, well, did you select your race and gender? And if they say no, then you know they didn't get to the end of it, okay? I can see my resumes. We talked about adding different levels of attachments here. We can do reference letters. Folks can upload their transcript attachments, whatever the applicant would like to upload there, they can. Same rules as the resume. We have a My Favorite Jobs. They can save searches. And then this notifications piece here, we've talked about it. We have the ability to do online job offers, and so this is where your online job offer would be displayed, and you're able to come in and select it and accept it. We're going to use similar functionality, I think, for the faculty events, for the contracts. They'll be able to come in, take a look at that, accept it, have it available to them. So I think we're going to kind of morph this into a faculty event solution as well. Okay, so I wanted to get to the recruiting experience right quick. So what I'm pulling up here is just a recruiter dashboard. This is everybody, so if you're a practitioner in the room and you're hiring people, this is something you're going to like, I think. This really is where you start your morning, right? You get your coffee, sit down. This is kind of the first thing you look at. At the top up here, the top, upper right-hand corner, you can see I've got 9 new applicants, 14 interview evaluations, and 2 hires to prepare, right? That's kind of where I start my day, okay? And if you've only got 9 new applicants, it's going to be a good day. I'm out of here by lunch, boss. We've got so for interviews, the interview calendar there, we do have integration. We have light integration, heavy integration with Microsoft Outlook, and we decide what level of integration we want. That's a global setting, so that's a kitchen. We all got to share that setting. It will actually put interviews on managers' calendars for them, and then when they make changes to it, it'll actually send it back. So there's a lot of functionality there that we'll talk through. The one that a lot of folks will use is this applicant list. Like, you probably keep this right now on a sticky note right beside your desk or something, people that you really want to try to get somewhere, or people that you're impressed with, but they just weren't the #1 candidate at the time, or they're working on a degree and they've not quite finished yet, but you want to make sure they kind of stay at the top of mind. That's where we'd use this applicant list, which is the third one down on the right. The My Job Openings, this is all the job openings that I have that I'm assigned to as a recruiter. And it tells me who the hiring manager is. And we'll log in Chris Rock in just a second and take a look at his jobs. I can't imagine if he was a manager how many times you would go to HR. It would be a lot. I love the guy, probably not a good manager. We can all agree on that, right? Over here on the quick link side, again, where you see these little wheels, this is all customizable. So recruiters' dashboards look very different. I'm always amazed at how different people work differently, right? So we'll have people who are going to download stuff to Excel. That's what this little guy right here is going to do, this icon. So some people will still download it to Excel. They'll have a ruler on their desk with a pencil, and they'll be marking stuff off as they go. It's great. I mean, that's a way to get the job done, right? We do have the ability to do all that electronically. So, and again, just reiterating the fact that you can, if you don't like the alerts or you don't like the applicant list, you can remove that and you don't have to look at it, okay? So coming on down, we've got, these are all the applicants who have applied, and you can see the jobs that they've applied to. Because I've only gotten a few applicants, it's reasonable to look at this. Honestly, whenever you get hundreds of applicants, that probably isn't the way you're going to be trying to find them. Unless you've got a hot job, you can sort them and then pull them out into Excel. If you're really trying to find somebody, you could use it that way probably. You can see here's the resume links and the application links, and we talked about this earlier. So that's actually my resume. So it's coming back just like I have it. So like if you hate my tool lines and you hate my fonts, then you can ding me as an applicant because it's tacky or whatever. But it is put back together in Excel. And whenever we have our, we can have WebExes and stuff if you want to talk about special. Like I would like to know as soon as possible if you've got crazy extensions that are trying to be uploaded and stuff. We can solve that really quickly. We normally don't find out about it until after go live and somebody calls and they say, well, I can't see this person's artwork. So as much as we can think about this on the front end and get it ready for everybody, it'll be a desktop image, right? So if everybody's Internet Explorer needs these 18 applets to see all these things, we can get all that done on the front end. It'll be a big win. My time to fill analytic right now is pretty pathetic because this is a demo environment, as Craig indicated. And but it is impressive once we get data in there. Time to fill is you know, a metric that a lot of folks like to look at from a recruiting standpoint. If you're a recruiting manager, you can take a look at your team's recruiting metric from a company level. So we'll go through metrics as a whole separate thing. We've got metrics, queries. You know, there are a lot of other tools that we would use as recruiters to get this done. So now, you guys aren't writing any questions on your note cards. I've been watching. This is the one day you get to ask questions. No, I'm just kidding. So you can see here, this is an open, let me go back, because you guys may not have seen the fluid. So this is the fluid interface. I'm a manager, and what I've done is I just have an open jobs tile for Chris Rock here. You can see I've got like that team performance status. That's another example of a metric, so we can push that stuff to managers. But the open jobs tile is probably how we would deploy this to our managers. It just tells us from a manager's perspective, so now we have our manager hat on. It lets me know all the jobs that I have that are open currently or jobs that I'm associated to. So in the committee hire situation, I would also see these folks. It lets me know how long they've been open, new applicants, total applicants, and let's see, this has got 4 applicants on it. So it takes us back to this page. Now, with this page, we can do interest level, we can do interview evaluations. We've got a ton of work that we can do. This basically takes your manager kind of into your recruiter world. And this is the place, from my perspective, where PeopleSoft falls down, okay? Managers never need to see all the options that recruiters see. Right? They just don't, right? We want to get to them the resume, they're going to review it, they're going to status it, interview people, and that's pretty much it, right? And then we take over and do the offer. So we're going to screen people, review people, send them to the manager. We really just want the manager to look at that data and then status that person and be out of the system. Whether we use this screen or a modified version of this screen, the manager would be able to see where they are in the process. You know, typically the manager only sees applicants from screen until offer, and that's it, okay? Or they could only see them from route to offer. So they're only seeing them on 3 of these statuses. So we'll talk about this page. This, again, is one of the global things that we'll get together and just try to decide, you know, what's the simplest way to get a manager in and out of the system. So that, because again, managers aren't using this necessarily every day. Some managers may only have a vacancy every 6 or 9 months, and it needs to be intuitive and quick. You know, they believe it or not, they're not that crazy about using our systems. They don't. It's not really what they get reviewed on. So, you know, it's really a carrot, and we have to definitely manage that with a carrot and make things good for them. Just going around this screen though quickly, we've got about 2 minutes, I think, something like that. 3 minutes to get my card.
I'll open the door here in about a minute.
A minute? Oh my gosh, I just lost 2 minutes. That's what happens when you ask the questions, folks. Let that be a lesson to you. I could have just talked on through. But we can walk around this page just really quickly. So tab section right below job opening, job posting, and job code, we got applicants, searching, screening, activity and attachments and details. Again, this is a recruiter's view of the world. Managers really don't need to see stuff at this level. But the applicant search allows you to go back into the pool. You know, I got 5 candidates. I really don't like any of them. I'm going to go into the pool and search for people. We can do internal searches, a passive job search. That's where I've put my internal resume together. I said, you know, I'd be interested in an accounting job, right? So you're going to go out there and say, well, that guy's in HR right now, but he's had accounting experience and he's interested in an accounting job. So maybe you're going to just do a cold call and see if you can move that person. I believe in cross-pollination across schools and across departments, right? The more people do and the longer they've been here, the more valuable they are, in my opinion. We don't want somebody to sit, you know, typically sit somewhere and do the same thing for a very long period of time, burn out, all kinds of bad things happen. So that's what that internal talent acquisition manager, when you hear TAM, that's what they're talking about, the talent acquisition, the management of your talent. And that starts with this recruiting process. The things that we'll talk about, if you guys are able to stay, we have the onboarding process drawn out here. We have the profile management integration, which we'll talk about. And then we've just got the TAM-CG integration, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and keep going because I haven't seen the doors open. Proposed onboarding flow. So what onboarding is, we've made the hire, right? We know who we want. They've accepted the offer. That's when this would start. And we've broken it into 4 phases. Our first phase is going to be a vendor phase, and that still needs to be selected. We have criminal background checks, federal background checks, education, drug screens, license certifications, credentialing, all the stuff that you would do to say, yeah, you're going to be a valid hire for us. You can go through and you can see we have 2 intake points, the Smart Hire, which is a template-based hire, and the ATS, which would be the recruiting TAM-CG system. If they pass or fail that vendor phase 1, we have a committee review. They can pass or fail the committee review, and then that's going to get them into an HR status updated, getting them ready for a hire. That phase 2, we're bringing them in as a POI, which is kind of a pre-hire status, where we can get them their email address, access, get them working, 2 or 3 months before we actually hire them on the job road. And in that section, we've got direct deposit, personal data, emergency contacts, military status, disability, and W-4. All that's happening in PeopleSoft through self-service, okay? The vendor would continue to do our security questionnaires, NRAs, ACA, Georgia Deferred Online Notifications, non-disclosure forms, drug policies. That's where you're basically just reading something on the internet and you're checking, I hereby certify that I've looked at this. And that vendor would be handling that for us. That gets us around to an actual hired role. So I've been a POI for 2 or 3 months and now you want to bring me in and hire me. Once I get hired, that's when I can do the benefits enrollment. We're basically calling that phase 3. And then phase 4 of the onboarding process is your courses and orientations and all the stuff that happens really outside of any system, okay? So I'll walk through that really quickly. I know folks are leaving. I can open it up to questions if you guys have some stuff you'd like to talk about, and definitely want to collect your cards so we can get questions that way in the FAQs.